stand by your statements that Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas?
Ben, we have to be able to criticize bad ideas. Islam at this moment is the motherlode of bad ideas. It's not just the kind of Islam you get at a terror training camp in Afghanistan. It's the kind of Islam you get if you simply read the Quran and the Hadith. So you're waging jihad against the infidel and killing apostates and taking sex slaves even. This is in the teachings, and it's not peripheral. It is central. And reformist Muslims need to speak honestly about this, and many of them do. People like Majid Nawaz and Irshad Manji. These are people who will not play hide the ball with the articles of faith. They will honestly talk about these problematic doctrines and honestly call other Muslims to figure out a way to contextualize them and put them on the shelf and retire them. This is quite a challenge because we have this idea of revelation, that these books were dictated by the creator of the universe. In the case of Islam, it's the Quran. In the case of Christianity, it's the Bible. And then you are now hostage to the contents of these books, which can't be edited.
The 3 levels of hell of hypocrisy that I just heard, that y'all just heard. He said that Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas because it teaches sex slave in the writings of his book. Not the teachings of the people, not the doctrines that people have come away with later on, not the actions that people have taken, but the teachings of his book, of the book, talks about having sex slaves. Well, what about in your Bible, where it says that kill all the men, kill all the women who've known a man, kill all the young boys, kill all the old men, but take the young girls who have not known a man and make them into your wives? That's taking sex slaves and making them your wife. Jacob married Rachel, married Leah. They was having a baby race to create the 12 tribes. Who was in addition to creating those 12 tribes? The slave wives of Jacob, the handmaids of Rachel and Leah, who were slaves. Islam is started by what? The slave Hagar to Abraham and Sarah. So, slave wives. Your Bible is filled with making young girls into slaves, into wives. That when Abraham and Sarah left Egypt, Pharaoh gave them a whole bunch of slaves. When they left the kingdom of Amalek, he gave them a whole bunch of slaves. And it was good. And your Bible says that from the foreigners and the foreigners who live amongst you, you can buy your slaves and have them as property and pass them down for generations. Your Bible teaches that in his words that cannot be edited. It even talks about when you have somebody of your own tribe that came into you as a debt slave, but the 7 years is over. But if the master had given the slave a wife and they had children, the wife and the children must remain slaves for life. And if he wants to love his family, if he loves his family, wants to be with his family, then he has to put him up against the post at the temple and pierce his ear with an awl, and he becomes your slave forever because he loves his wife that the slave master gave him as another female slave. What more high ground are you standing on? There is so much wrong when you sit up there and you want to demonize one religion when your religion teaches the exact same thing. The Islam talks about jihad and the infidels. What do you call all the genocide that your Bible speaks of? Told Moses, who told Joshua and the Israelites to not make peace treaties with certain groups of people, the Amorites, the Moabites, that you are supposed to genocide these people and kill these people. Isn't that not the same? And this mindset was followed up by the 7 crusades of going and trying to kill the Islamic people in order to possess the Holy Land, because your Bible teaches that you are to go and possess the land and kill anybody who's on the land. The pot is damn sure calling the kettle black on this one, because I don't know who that politician is, but whenever this was recorded, whenever this was spoken about, you were dead wrong in trying to make one religion worse than the other, because they're both incredibly wrong. Both are based on what the cultures of people who were writing them at their time frame. Both are filled with this God who is evil as hell. And you're trying to justify it and make Christianity some religion of love when it's not. Your Jesus said he came to put enmity between the husband and the wife, the father and the son, the mother and the daughter. He did not come to bring peace, but to set the world on fire. That you got to love your family less than you love this God. Even though it uses the term hate, I will give Christians the credibility of saying it could be used also. The Greek word there can also mean to love less. Either way, you're supposed to choose some make-believe God that you cannot prove have done any goddamn thing for you, have not shown you any love, but you're supposed to love your family less. This is why you have people turning on one another. You have the slave in America who was taught these rules of this God, to love your master as you would love Jesus Christ, to be obedient to your master as you would love Jesus Christ, whether they're good or bad, that you are to love God more than you love your own family. So when the family tried to escape, family tried to leave, they would tell on them. They would rat them out because of this belief that this was the chosen arrangement by this God, because it is the chosen arrangement by this God. That whoever is more powerful to make slaves out of other people is the chosen arrangement of this God. And that you're to take these young girls and make them into your wives. These sex slaves, these slave wives, that you're supposed to do this. And that you're supposed to kill anybody who disagrees with you. Anybody who doesn't believe in what you believe, then kill them all. Man, get out of here with that nonsense. That's some bullshit. And that's why we deconstruct from this book. This is why this country should never be governed by this book. Because if it did, it would be a return to some of the most barbaric time frames of man that we have ever seen. Y'all think that it's worse now than it was in the past. Hell no. That just shows you have no idea what the historical cultures were like back in the day and at the time frame the writing of this book. You have no idea. And especially if you are a person of color, if you even think to come out your mouth and say that things are worse now than they were when your ancestors were enslaved, when your ancestors were colonized, you're stupid. Just plain stupid. You're not ignorant. You're stupid. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.